everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video we're going to do the commentary / analysis for episode 21, Miraculous Ladybug season 5, Confrontation. However, before I get into it, as always, I'm about to spoil the whole episode for you, so if you haven't watched it yet, please go and find it somewhere, and it is always easier to find the episode on the day it is released. The longer you leave it, the harder it is going to be to find before it gets added to Disney Plus or Netflix or wherever they're uploading it. I don't even know anymore. And also secondly, I haven't read the show Bible or seen any of the leaks, so whilst in this video I'm not going to be speculating a ton about, what's coming next, because, collusion's already out at the time of filming this, and I'll save that for other theory videos, but I'd really appreciate it if you could keep any leaks and stuff out of the comments. Thank you very much. And speaking of which, I haven't actually watched Collusion yet. I just filmed my reaction and done notes for Confrontation. However, I will have at least watched the episode, Collusion I mean, before you see the video, before it's uploaded. So don't worry about leaving comments about Collusion, but I know other people won't have, possibly who are reading the comments, so if you want to talk about Collusion, the video for it will be up tomorrow. Maybe just put like spoilers in capital letters so people who haven't watched it know not to read your comment or something like that. That would be great. So overall, oh my god, great episode. I felt myself getting so annoyed at certain points, but not because it was a bad episode, because you're getting frustrated with the choices some of the characters are making. I was like, oh my god, just do this, do that at some points, especially during like the teacher meeting with Lila and Chloe. Because like, Miss Bustier, do something. Like she says, like, your students wouldn't pick that. I was getting annoyed, but you're obviously meant to. It was meant to make you, get riled up and get annoyed. Overall, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. There are a couple of tiny issues, but for me, like, the overall issue is that I felt that this episode was, it was too fast. Like, sometimes some of the Miraculous episodes are really, really slow. Like, Derision is a really good example of an episode that is far too slow. This episode is a good example of an episode that's far too fast, and I think it might have been too fast due to the shorter Akuma fights. Even though I really liked there being a shorter Akuma fight because I prefer like the more civilian drama that goes on rather than the superhero stuff. That's just my personal preference though. It felt a bit too short. If it had just been a bit longer and they got rid of another scene, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, I felt like the pace could have been improved so much more. So Derision was too slow, this was too fast, and Ephemeral is a really great example of bad pacing, because ephemeral pacing is just absolutely everywhere. There is no one in control of Ephemeral. So the opening, so bittersweet. I was like, oh, black. I feel like it's gonna be okay though. Hopefully. I don't know, in the back of my head all I've got is that image we got from, I think it was from Glue the other day, of Ladybug doing the pound it to thin air basically. So that was nice and traumatising. That was all I was kind of thinking of. Let's be fair. It's all I've really been thinking of this entire week. And I actually really loved the little montage they put together that basically explained the class rep stuff and the future and the applications and how it works. We don't have, well, we do have something similar here, but it's really also at the same time not similar. So in the UK, high school is 5 years from 11 to 16, and at about the same age at 14. You don't decide on your career so much, but you kind of have a rough idea of what you want, and when you're in year 9, which is when you're like 13, 14, you kind of pick subjects you want to do that will hopefully lead you into that general field, but it's okay to change. Like, it seemed a lot more restrictive, like you got to decide on your whole career right now. So we do have something similar, however our parents couldn't do a thing to change it, the teachers couldn't change it, the other students couldn't change it. If I put down, for context, I'm terrible at science. Science was my worst subject in school, she says, now being a science fiction author. But science was my worst subject in school, so if I put down I wanted to do triple science, the teachers couldn't have stopped me. They would have been like, that's a bad decision. I'd be like, yeah, and what? What are you going to do about it? Nothing. You can't do a single thing about it. So they don't have control over it. They don't have a discussion like this really. So it was just a bit strange. So I'm really glad they had this explanation in here. Obviously the writers know Miraculous is shown in so many countries, and I have no idea what schooling is like in any country really apart from the UK. So I'm really glad they explained it, because I would assume stuff like this different in every single country. So really glad that was in there. I love the montage. First of all with Ivan, stay-at-home dad. Yes, he's an absolute cutie pie. He'd be an amazing dad. Yes, amazing. I also really like Sabrina's as well, of wanting to be a nurse. I thought that was wonderful. So yeah, but also like, I don't know, maybe I'm just jaded by the UK health system. You get a lot of difficult people going to hospital. You need to have like a bit of a backbone to be able to deal, for example, with the British public, who often aren't very nice in medical settings. So I'm like, yes, I think you'd be a great nurse, Sabrina. You have a wonderful bedside manner, you want to look after people, but also like, you know, you need to like learn to speak out. Like I know she did in this episode, but you know what I mean? Like she needs to be a bit tougher, I think, which I think she could do. But oh my god, the hotel scene. So difficult to watch, especially when Sabrina has the whistle and she's like, I don't know, like, to me it was kind of like, maybe not a full-on panic attack, but the start of a panic attack, hence why she rings Marinette, which I kind of like, I guessed that right away, and I was like, she's calling Marinette. That's what she's done. When Marinette leaves the little meeting room or whatever, I was like, she's totally rung Marinette. But that was, oh, it was just so difficult to watch them talking to her like that and force her to do it. I'm like, yeah, horrible. But like I said, like a lot of this episode I feel like you were definitely supposed to be frustrated about. So the next scene is kind of the one I felt like they could have possibly cut out or at least shortened. So I understand that they wanted to communicate that Adrian had no idea what he wanted to do, but I feel like that was communicated pretty well with the letter Lila and Chloe read later on, and I just feel like this scene was a bit meh. Really, I didn't really understand the thing with the cockroaches and Miss Mendeleev talking about seeing the kids. Didn't really get it. I feel like the only purpose of this scene was to show Sabrina having called Marinette, and I felt like that could have been achieved if like the rest of the kids were hanging out on the boat with each other and then Sabrina calls her, which I feel like would have been a much better juxtaposition, because all the kids would have been having fun together and Sabrina doesn't hang out with them. So she's like locked in the hotel, which isn't that far from the Coffin's boat, so she's locked up in the hotel and they're all having fun on the boat. I feel like that would have been a much better juxtaposition and could have been much shorter if Marinette just goes off to answer this call. Maybe she's sat with Adrian and Adrian is talking to her about it. You know, I feel like that would have been like, as in Adrian talking about like him not knowing what to do, not being sure or whatever, because he does hand in his form, so maybe that conversation would have been the catalyst to him leading that letter. I don't know, it just felt like this scene just felt like a bit of a loose end in the episode. Like objectively speaking, it wasn't a bad scene, there was nothing wrong with it, but in terms of the wider structure of this episode, I felt it was just like I said, like a loose thread, a loose end. Didn't really seem to make the most sense to me, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I feel like the only other purpose of the scene was to mention this high school, which I've already forgot the name of. It's where Nino says, oh, like Adrian doesn't know what to do, so let's all go to the same school so we can stay together and help keep taking down Monarch Daddy. I feel like that was the only purpose of that scene. However, I feel like that could have been done and would have made more sense if at the start of the class scene, when they all get the folders back, when they're all reading out like, I got this but I didn't want it, if they say, well actually the plan was to all go to this place, and I feel like that would have made more sense when Julika is akumatized and says, yeah Nino, you're right, let's do this all together, because that seems like the motto of the reflectors in this episode, to all stay together. So I feel like that would have been communicated better elsewhere as well. Like I said, I just felt like the scene was like a bit loose and wasn't really needed. The only thing I was happy about learning in that scene is that it seems that maybe Nathaniel isn't going to be in Miraculous from next season. Yes! He's so whiny, so annoying. I can't wait, Nathaniel. I'd say I miss you, but I would be lying. Anyway, I would really love to know though, when they find that letter from Adrian, what worst thing they gave to Adrian. Like, what would it be? I want to know, like, what did you give him in the first place, and then what was the worst thing? Because he doesn't actually say. So the meeting, again, super duper frustrating to watch that. However, it does make me wonder. So everyone's always asked, why doesn't Luca go to the same school as Julika? And I've just always been like, well, maybe Luca just doesn't want to. Not all siblings go to the same school. Do they usually? Yes, not always though. Like, I mean, to be fair, me and my brothers, yes, we all went to the same primary school and same high school and the same college together, but none of us have attended the same university, which I think is more normal here, not to go to the same university, but not all siblings go to the same school with each other. So I just assumed it was that. But what I'm thinking now, after this thing, when Miss Boussier says, well, she's already repeated the year once, did Luca not repeat the year? So Luca's already in lycée, maybe? So he's the same age as Soculine, possibly? I don't know, maybe he already knows Soculine. That's why Julika's repeated the year, so they're actually a year older than we think. I don't know. I just assumed Julika was the same age. I didn't know about her repeating the year, but okay, whatever. Would have been nice to have known that earlier. We didn't know that earlier, right? Or am I just being stupid? I don't know. So like I said, Julika is akumatized, and I feel if Nino picked that scene to say, hey, these are all wrong, our plan for everyone apart from Nathaniel, because we've never seen him again, thank God, is to all go into this other high school together so we can continue to be together. I felt like if Nino said that in that scene and then Julika gets akumatized and she's like, yeah, you're right, Nino. Like, it seems a bit out of place for Julika to jump in and say, yeah, you're right, Nino, let's all stay together. In this scene, when it was a few scenes ago, doesn't seem to be gelling quite for me. Of course, feel free to disagree. I just feel like that would make a little bit more sense. Okay, so let me get the Akuma fight, and like I said, even though it made the pace of this episode super duper fast, I really enjoyed how short it was. But like, where did they get that massive like brick wallpaper from? I don't know. And also, how many people died as a result of clouds? Like, there was a huge crater, because when it happened I was like, show it, show it, show it, and then it kind of did when she did the Lucky Charm, and I was like, oh my god, how many people did you kill, Julika? And was it Nino? I'm not sure, I've already forgotten who it was. I get mixed up in Reflector episodes because you can only identify by the voice actor, and I'm not very good at identifying by the voice actor. Not even for the English dub. I'm terrible. Okay, I'm awful at recognising voices, it's just me. So, was it Julika and Nino? I think it was, but I'm not 100% sure. So anyway, back to class. I really liked, actually, Marinette's motivation, or motivation wasn't her real, Lila was lying, because I was a bit unsure what Lila was gonna say as like her reasoning for why she thinks Marinette sabotaged them all. So I was a bit unsure. I was like, why would the class even be willing to believe it to some degree, even if not wholly? Why would the class be willing to believe it? I don't know, the class's logic is very, very warped. But I was like, huh, okay, that's fair enough, saying that, oh, she was annoyed at you all for voting me in and voting her out. I was like, yeah, okay, I can actually buy that. I went along with that. I thought that was a pretty good idea. And I loved, actually, how Lila described when Sabrina was trying to say, like, no, it was you two. And Lila was like, oh, I'm sorry that me being friends with Chloe has made you jealous. Just like Marinette, she's like a civilian version of Monarch. I really liked that idea, to be honest. I really liked that line. That was really cool. And I also thought the plan she had with Marinette was really, really good. With Sabrina saying, I've got proof, and like, haha, I don't have any proof, but not only that, I'm gonna make you tell everyone what you've done, and not just with the forms, absolutely everything, like nothing, like pretty much everything was out there with like what happened in Ladybug, just the general like travelling and being in films and stuff. Amazing. And not only that, that scene before it was revealed that everyone was listening or whatever, it also showcased like Lila's true nature. It wasn't just like the lies she's told, like both her and Chloe were like basically threatening her. So I am really glad that's all out there. And I know Miss Boosty apologised, and you know, she definitely should have after what happened in Revelation, because she was terrible in that. I was so annoyed at Miss Boosty, still slightly am, to be honest. But I'm like, I feel like everyone else apart from Adrian should also give Marinette a personal apology. Especially Alia. Like, what did she say in Revelation, the cafeteria scene? Like, oh, like, you just think that Lila wants Adrian. I was like, well, you've got Adrian now, so that's obviously not the case. Alia definitely needs to owe Marinette an apology. It can't just be lumped in with like, oh, yeah, so. No. She better say it, or I'm gonna be annoyed at Alia for the rest of my life, okay? I will be. That's not an exaggeration. I will be annoyed for the rest of my life. Okay, everyone should apologise. And then again, oh my god, so Mr. Damocles obviously finds out what's happened. He rings the mayor to say, hey, they're expelled. And Andre, again, you're supposed to get annoyed. I understand that. But I was like, oh my god, Andre, do something. How can you be like this? But then he hangs up super quick. And then Audrey's there. So was like Audrey in on this somewhere? Or was he just like, protect Chloe at all costs? I was just like, I was getting so angry at certain parts of the episode, which is definitely what I think we're meant to feel. But, oh boy. So angry. It was awful. I don't know how really at this point it can be resolved with this family, other than like literally Andre getting a divorce, but being like, okay, I want a divorce, but I'm gonna take full custody of Zoe, thanks. Like, I mean, I don't know what Zoe's father is like, but he doesn't seem all that great from the tiny bits of information. Like, it seems that Zoe's been largely at boarding school, so it doesn't even really seem like she has much of a relationship with her biological father, so it's just like, Andre, you do it. Like, he's not a great dad to Chloe, but he is to Zoe, so I'm like, that's the only real way forward I can see for his character. I don't know if it's going to be resolved this season, like we're just running out of time and so much is still left to do, so I don't know, but I'm going to be very interested to see what goes down with Andre. So the next scene, the charm scene. Absolutely loved it. Everyone gathered around and then Marinette was like, Miss Bustier, can you please get Chloe and Lila out of the classroom? Or out of the office, sorry. Get them out of here, we only need positive vibes in here. And everyone else comes in and then Julika comes through. Like Cat Noir turns up but then Julika's like, you got this, I think is what she says, and then she like it brings out her voice or whatever. But also just in general, jumping back a second, enjoy the meeting with all the teachers and Lila and Chloe. When Lila was talking about Julika's speech impediment, I was getting so annoyed. I was like, just because you have a speech impediment doesn't mean you're stupid. Doesn't mean you're gonna have to repeat a year or whatever. Like, I was getting so annoyed, like, okay, you have a speech impediment, it doesn't affect your intelligence. Like, so annoyed. But anyway, she was awesome coming through in this scene, and the shield being able to purify Akuma's was amazing, and kind of part of me is thinking that Gabriel, because of his deteriorating health state, isn't going to be able to like one-up this, you know, where like he did before in Dearest Family with their Mega Akumas. I don't think he's going to be able to. So I know this is jumping forward a bit to the part of the episode with Ladybug and Cat Noir, but I just want to say it now because I feel like it works well here in the video. Is that so basically Cat Noir is retelling Ladybug what happened. Obviously she already knows what happened, but he doesn't know that. And he's like, this is awesome. People are soon going to be able to purify Akumas without the two of us. Like, you're not going to need us as much, which is cool, don't get me wrong. He's right in what he's saying, but I was also like, obviously at the start of this episode, he's saying like, first of all, it's going to break Marinette's heart and my heart to have to be separated in different countries, but then Plaggy's also like, I'm not going to see you again. So I feel like, whilst it was really cool getting to see the shields do this, again, just thinking of that single pound it with Ladybug on her own from that trailer the other night, is, I don't like, is this like Cat Noir's way of like thinking that it's okay if he leaves, not that he wants to, but it's gonna be okay because Ladybug's gonna have all the civilians with these charms to help her deal with Akumas, you know what I mean? So I was a bit like, whilst yeah, the purifying's really cool, it also made me sad, you know what I mean? Because of the implications this could have, you know, for Cat Noir. So I was a bit like, okay, that's great. That's wonderful. So I really liked that Mr. Damocles was like, right, okay, it's finally time to stand up for myself. Like the whole of this episode I was like, oh finally we're doing this. Like I think I say in my reaction, I've been waiting for this since Volpina. Some of these scenes I was like, yes, finally it's finally happening. So I was super duper happy about that. And then he gets them the new forms, so they get sent off to where they want to go. I was really worried they weren't gonna and Ali would have to become an optician. Okay, I was also in that episode and like, they were like, oh well, Ali wears glasses. I was like, yeah, me too. I never wanted to be an optician though. God. So I was like, okay. And definitely part of me thinks, obviously they're all off to high school next year, that wherever they go, whether it's the school Nino said or somewhere else, Mr. Damocles is 110% going to be the head teacher. Definitely, he's gonna be back. I bet Miss Bustier is gonna leave. She'll be the head teacher or something. Like, I bet we haven't seen the last of them. I bet they'll be back. So the Chloe scene was definitely very interesting. Like, what on earth does Miss Bustier mean? Is like gonna be giving you very special attention. It's like, alright, Miss Bustier. Okay. Bit strange, but alright, I can't wait to see what this actually means. But then Lila ringing her. And I was just like, first of all, how are you not done? Everyone at that school knows your secret, but like, more? You want to do more? Like, just leave them alone. You like, I'm really curious to know Lila's motivation. And then not only that, it seems she's been attending another school as, what was the name? Cerise, I think it was. I'm not sure if I said that correctly. And it seems that she's doing the same thing to a whole other class. Why? I desperately want to know her motivations. I don't mind waiting a little bit longer for it because I do love the drama she brings, but right now I'm just like, why? Why would you do this? I don't know. Like, how many people, like how many other classes is she doing this to? I have no idea. So overall I'd say a 9 out of 10, largely for the pacing problems. Or just a few things here and there, like that scene down in the boiler room. Yes, I love the boiler room, but like, it's, you know, a sacred location. Let's, you know, use it properly. Okay. And the MVP, I'd say Mr. Damocles, he was awesome, coming through, getting everything sorted in the end, finding that what he really should do, which, you know, he really should have been doing that earlier. Like, he's meant to be a superhero standing up for what's right, and he's been being bribed basically by the mayor this whole time. But then again, the mayor, his wife is basically controlling him. It's just such a mess. I really don't know how they're going to resolve all of this. I don't think they can resolve it all by the end of the season, really. So Mr. Damocles was the MVP, but definitely special mention to Julika. She was absolutely amazing. So besties, I'd love to know what you thought of this episode. As always, if you're going to write me a little essay, that's wonderful. I can't wait to read it. Just please split it into some paragraphs so it's easier for me to read. I wear glasses, so I don't want to be an optician. But I do have trouble reading massive blocks of text on screen. So if you could split it up into paragraphs for me, that would be wonderful. So now I'm going to go and react to Collusion, because like I said, I haven't even watched it yet. So besties, I'd love to know what you think of this episode. Do you think the pace was off? Do you agree with my pick for MVP? Do you hope you'll never see Nathaniel again? Because I absolutely do. But anyway, I'd love to know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!